Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B-Main Bandits YouTube channel and episode number 1 of the series where I show you all the racetracks I've been to in my lifetime. This is Track Chasing. I figured the best place to start would be the beginning. So in May of 1996, at the tender age of 4 months old, my parents took me to the Cajon Speedway in El Cajon, California, the fastest 3/8 mile paved oval in the West. This was a track that ran a multitude of local classes, had trailer races, bombers, stock cars, and even hosted the super modifieds several times a year. The Cajon Speedway unfortunately ceased operations in the 2004 season after the untimely death of the track owner, and with the lease ending at the end of the 2005 season, the track located right next to Gillespie Field was subsequently demolished and continues to sit unused to this day. So staying in Southern California for racetrack number 2 of my life, what was called Team Possibilities Junior Raceway at the time was an 8th mile drag strip on the east corner of the Qualcomm Stadium parking lot, later the site of the race legal events where they made it a 4-lane track. With Qualcomm Stadium being demolished at the end of 2019, that spelled the end for the drag races there, as the new site of Snapdragon Stadium didn't hold any plans to continue the race legal events. Whether you know this track for Eddie Hill's blistering 499 in 1988, or the infamous burn down between Warren Johnson and Scott Jeffrey on the 1994 Slick 50 Nationals, you may know the track for record car counts at the Spring Nationals event, or the low elapsed times set due to being 10 feet above sea level. Of course, we're talking about Houston Raceway Park, which recently closed out its final year with the Spring Nationals with the first all-female Pro Stock final. But Houston Raceway Park, to me, is simply home. It's where I started my racing career, won my first race, contended for my first championship, and spent many a nights announcing the races, and even used a co-worker's car in a burnout contest one year. We've made hundreds, if not thousands, of passes with bracket cars at Houston Raceway Park. Nearly every weekend of my childhood was spent at Houston Raceway Park. I used to spend the first half of the days at the bracket races. I've been to many NHRA national and divisional events, ADRL Pro Mod events, Outlaw 10-5 events, index races. I've had the pleasure of announcing Friday Night Test and Tunes and many other events for Houston Raceway Park as well. In April of 2023, the track is scheduled to be demolished to become warehouses for the Caton Nady Corporation, marking an end to the track's 36-year run in operation. Staying in Baytown, Texas for lifetime racetrack number 4, let's go to the top end of the property, the state-of-the-art Houston Raceway Park dirt track. Originally opened as a 3/8 mile track in the year 2000. Grandstand seating for roughly 10,000 people. Paved pit area, Musco lights, a giant concession stand, VIP luxury boxes, and an elevator to access those boxes. Just some of the amenities for the racers and spectators. In 2007, the track was shortened from 3/8 of a mile to a D-shaped quarter-mile oval, and this track played host to the who's who on dirt: ASCS sprint cars, SUPR late models, USMTS modifieds, and of course the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. The crown jewel event for Houston Raceway Park, the end of every season from 2000 to 2015, was the Texas Grand. And the now world-famous Lone Star 600 Enduro race also got its start at Houston Raceway Park. The final event at Houston Raceway Park was February 27th of 2016, a World of Outlaws Sprint Car event won by Darren Pittman driving for Casey Kane Racing. In early 2017, the racetrack surface was demolished, citing repurposing into a multi-purpose venue, and the plans ultimately stalled out, with the grandstand finally coming down in 2019. In the fall of 2004, we evacuated from Hurricane Rita and went to our nearest family up in Joplin, Missouri, and decided to check out the Joplin 66 Speedway. Opened in 1993, it was a massive 4/10 of a mile dirt oval, running stock cars, modifieds, and late models, primarily for their weekly series. This was another track that was a common stop for the USMTS modifieds, the Have a Tampa late model series, and the World of Outlaws sprint car series, among others. Little did we know that that event that we went and saw in the fall of 2004 would actually be one of the final events that the Joplin 66 Speedway ever held, as it would be shuttered for good following the 2004 season. And since then, the decay and vandalism has become almost something of legend in the area. It was actually the first track that I covered for my Ghost Track series back in 2015. And since then, the vandalism and even arson has just gotten completely out of hand, and neither one of the towers remains today. And the track was recently sold at a public auction and is set to become some sort of residential housing development in the coming years. And for the final track in this video, we go to the desert in Phoenix, Arizona, to the mighty Manzanita Speedway. Result of a road trip to go visit a family member in California in the summer of 2005. Now, my dad attended Manzanita Speedway as a young kid, around 6 or 7 years old, and his hero was Hank Arnold way back when. The track's world famous for the half mile. However, my dad was mildly disappointed to find out upon arriving that the half mile was not the track they were running that night, but the small track, the 3rd mile infield oval. 3 classes were contested that night: the local 410 non-wing sprint cars, the USAC Western States midgets, and a modified division. 96 cars checked in that night, and the highlight of the night was definitely watching then 13-year-old Chad Boat win his first midget race at the Manzanita Short Track. Now, Manzanita Speedway stayed in operation until 2009. Unfortunately, we never did make it back to watch the non-wing sprint cars on the half mile like we had always intended to. Another big regret was not picking up the Manzanita t-shirt that night. After the track was sold, it was quickly demolished and turned into a staging yard for a trucking company. That'll bring us to the end of episode number 1 of Track Chasing. If you like this sort of video, leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, keep an eye on the channel for the other types of videos that will be coming in the future. My name is Andrew Thornton, and I'll see you at the races.